All right, I got my Mopar hat on. Mopar no car, right? And let's get started here with the 2022 Ram 1500 Laramie review. There's a lot to talk about here because, it's a pickup truck, the hottest segment in North America. So I'm going to try and do my best to give you a comprehensive review on this. Well, that was a pretty good demonstration of what this thing is capable of. But we'll talk about that in a little bit. Let's talk about some of the more pragmatic things. Okay, what's new for 2022? Let's talk briefly about the exterior and some of the options, and let's go from there. All right, what's new for 2022? Well, as you know, with all the chip shortage nonsense, there's some changes. All of the Ram 1500s for 2022, they see a price hike of about $4,000 over the 2021 model years. And other things like with the Laramie, I heard some guy online talking about how he was so upset that these trucks don't come with blind spot monitoring anymore and some other features, and it no longer has like the four-way lumbar, just the two-way lumbar. The lumbar is true, this 2022 only has like the two-way lumbar, which doesn't bother me. The only thing that does bother me is I wish it had more lumbar, right? Because when I do a longer journey, my lower back tends to hurt. So I wish this truck had a little bit more lumbar, but as it sits, the seat is very comfortable as a whole. But regarding the features like blind spot monitoring, if you equip yours with the level 1 Laramie package like this truck has, you will get blind spot monitoring, front sensors, rear sensors, and it will stop on its own. So you will get all of those things if you get the Laramie 1 package. So I don't know, again, he could be complaining because he was talking about maybe the 2022s that were available in like July, August, something like that, and maybe things have changed. So who knows? Keep yourself updated with your local dealership on these options. And other things to note, we have all these kind of special editions across the board for every trim level. Like for the Limited, you now have an option of getting this 10th anniversary edition. The Longhorn gets a new special edition. The Laramies and the Rebels can be had with the GT trim levels, which basically adds a catback exhaust, cold air intake, console shifter, right, and some paddle shifters as well on the steering wheel. I mean, that's about it. It still makes the same amount of horsepower and torque as the regular 5.7 liter. And with the big horns, you have like this backcountry edition, a little bit more of an off-road friendly big horn. That's about that. And all Rams, from the base level and up, you will be getting this clean air system in the interior, so it will filter out 95% of the particulates in the cabin of the Ram 1500. So basically like an air purification system. It says that it will kill some of the bacteria inside the cabin as well, right? So those are some of your changes. It's the same excellent vehicle since 2019, since it initially came out. It's still got the same basic properties, principles, and qualities that I've come to appreciate with the Ram 1500. With all those things out of the way, let's go ahead and let's transition over into this driving segment now. All right. This particular truck is equipped with the 5.7 liter Hemi V8 with the eTorque system and this 8-speed automatic transmission. Produces 395 horsepower, 410 pounds-feet of torque. Great power figures. 8-speed transmission does a decent job in reacting, especially for a truck. Truck pulls really linear. Okay, it's got smooth power delivery at all times. Okay, whether you're driving in the city, out on the highway, and you peg it, it's always smooth power. It's not light your world on fire type of power. It's always smooth. In fact, these modern kind of luxury trucks, they're best used as a cruiser, okay? Just drive it more mellow at the speed limit. That's kind of where this is at its happiest. I'm sure that the GT will have a different feel to it. In fact, it has to, because it has like the 392 axle ratios, whereas this has the 321 axle ratios. That basically means that the 392s, if you get that axle ratio, it will have a little bit better acceleration, feel a little bit more peppy off the line, things like that. And these 321s, as you see here, is better built for efficiency's sake. And this truck, the way it's spec'd here, it's kind of like the luxury truck. You know, it's got the chrome appearance package on it for $995. It gets you this this nice side step here, which runs all throughout the body of this truck. Well, from the front to the, you know what I mean, to the bed of the truck. I like how this truck can wear multiple different hats. It can be like an off-roader, it can be a luxury truck with all the chrome and it still looks good with these 20-inch wheels. And also, it can be like a performance truck, like a TRX or like a GT. So that's pretty cool in my opinion. So yes, I mean, power's not an issue. It's got gobs of power, especially on paper, but I wouldn't necessarily say that this is the fastest. I mean, we have things like the new Tundra that recently came out, the 2022 fully redesigned, and that has the potential of being like a segment buster or something. Twin turbocharged V6, I'm sure it'll feel great off the line. And I'll make brief comparisons with some of the other trucks as well, like, you know, F-150, Silverado, things like that. 8-speed doesn't react, you know, like the Chargers and the Challengers, but you got to understand this is built for towing and for chilling around, essentially. And with this eTorque, it claims to get like 18 in the city and 22 on the highway. If I'm honest, I've been hooning it around a little bit more, but still, I'm getting like 12, 13 mpgs in the city. If you drove it like your grandmother would, you could get like 15, 16 in the city, I suppose. But I've noticed that this thing doesn't really turn off its engine when you come to a complete stop. Not all the time anyway. It does it occasionally, not all the time. I figured it would do it more so, but the thing with this 48 volt mild hybrid system is it's supposed to offer you seamless auto stop start functionality. And it does. You know, when it does come to a stop, it is so perfect in the way that it executes itself. It's very smooth coming to a stop and turning off and turning back on. That's not an issue. And some of the other advantages are when the transmission is doing rev match downshifts, it'll use kind of like the electric power versus like, you know, feeding it with fuel to pull off those rev match downshifts. So you kind of save some fuel there. And also a lot of the AC and the electronics are kind of managed by that 48 volt system. You know, those are some of the advantages. There's been other videos done. I think Matt Moran did a pretty good video with the chief engineer or one of the engineers, one of the product specialists, where he described the eTorque pretty perfectly. There's like six specific advantages. So let's talk about some of the other advantages with the Ram 1500, and that's mainly the 5-link coil suspension in the rear. Really makes this thing ride great and also handle great. In my opinion, the F-150 is still the best handling truck, mainly due to its firmer suspension that it kind of has, as well as the all aluminum body. Silverado also does a great job in its handling demeanor, but the thing is, this is kind of a great all-rounder. It gives you confidence at the higher speeds, and there's like that sturdiness to the chassis that's required for that good handling, as well as still being compliant over the bumps. So there's a lot of great advantages here. I like the way that this is tuned. All things considered, this is still my most favorite truck to drive because it does everything just so well. You know, it's got enough handling for me for an everyday truck. But I will say, at first, I thought that this truck rode a little too firm. And you know why that is? Because if you order a new Ram 1500, make sure to check the tire pressure on these vehicles. Because usually when it comes from the factory or from the dealership, these things are loaded up with like 45, 50 PSI in its tires. All right, and that's just insane. This truck, I noticed it was at like 42 or 43 PSI. Ram recommends a 36 PSI for the tires. At first I thought the 20-inch wheels might not be the way to go because it was riding so firm initially with that high PSI until I double checked it. The only other Rams I ever checked out was like a Bighorn with 18-inch wheels and then the Rebel, which I'm not going to include the Rebel in this comparison. I don't really recommend getting the Rebel. A Bighorn and Laramie are pretty good, but as you're about to see in the interior segment, you might even want to get the Limited for 2022. So there you go. Especially since this particular truck is about $62,000 MSRP. With 12% off, you can probably get it for around $54,000, $56,000, something like that. Double check my math on that. But yeah, the 18-inch Bighorn that I tested out rides like butter. But this is pretty close now, especially with the tire pressure lowered. It makes a huge difference. And I don't mind getting these 20s. In fact, I would definitely do it because the thing is with the Laramies, if you get the 18-inch wheels, it looks like a freaking work truck. It looks so bad, I hate it. These 20s do the truck way more justice. You'll also get slightly better steering feel when you get the larger rims, something else to note, I guess. And I do like it. This truck is very direct and precise. You know, it's just so satisfying to drive this truck on a day-to-day basis. It really is like driving around in like a luxury SUV, like a flagship luxury SUV or something like that. It's so well done. We have double pane glass here. I will, however, say that even with the double pane glass, there is some slight wind buffeting when you get at like 75 plus miles per hour, but it's really not that bad. As far as trucks go, for something that sits up so high, this is really well done. So refined. I will say the new F-150, the 2021 Lariat hybrid that I tested, is pretty quiet, as is the Silverado 2021. For 2022, the Silverado will be getting a pretty heavy refresh for LT models and up, but even the 2021 I tested out was a pretty good truck. It doesn't quite have the same polished driving demeanor as this, but I will say the 5.3 in that, even though on paper it has less horsepower than a lot of the other trucks in this segment, it really hauls out on the highway. It's got really great top end power, so definitely don't disregard that engine. But this truck, it's still kind of my preference. I just like everything about it. And I'll just end off with one other thing. The brakes on this truck is fantastic. It comes to a halt very nicely. I think that's a pretty good in-depth coverage on this truck in terms of the way it drives. I'll try to make more during the conclusions, but this has gotten long enough. Let's go ahead and let's transition over into the interior segment now. All right, now that we are stopped, let's go ahead and let's talk about this interior space, because that's another big highlight. You know, the suspension and everything, that's a highlight to the Ram 1500s, but this interior space is so well executed. I mean, this is, no truck really deserves having a, you know, interior this nice. But, you know, here's the thing, a lot of wealthy individuals, they like pickup trucks, and I get why. In fact, I don't know if you knew this, for most everyday millionaires, one of their most favorite vehicles is a Ford F-150, and you know, they sell like what, like 1 million of those things, or 500,000, whatever it is, some crazy number of those every single year. It's because trucks have phenomenal resale value, and if you're like a wealthy contractor or something, why not? This is a great tax write-off for you. You know, you're making $500,000, $1 million a year, you know, what's a $100,000 truck to you, right? You buy one every year, it's got pretty great resale value. And now with all the luxuries and all the features that they keep shoving into these flagship pickup trucks, it's just really insane. And the Rams, especially in their Laramie trims and up, really stand out to me because of the excellent choice of materials. Now, I will say there are some chintzy bits here and there. You know, there are uses of plastic here and there, right? The start-stop button, pretty plasticky feeling. But for the most part, right? I mean, you can nitpick it like that, but for the most part, you see like this leather or pseudo leather, whatever this is, this well done stitched dashboard. These seats are pretty epic. I mean, I love the suede, how they use that with the piping, with the stitching. The leather quality is great. There's just so much going on here, and of course the comfort of the seats is also excellent, very non-fatiguing. I did mention that a little bit more lumbar support would be nice, but as a whole, these seats are so comfortable, can fit many different body types as well. Really well done in here. Same thing with the doors, right? That kind of leather material with the stitching, the kind of wood trim, silverish aluminum trims, suede. I mean, there's just so many different materials. It's just what you would see in a typical luxury car, if I'm going to be honest with you. Plenty of space in here, like you would come to expect out of a truck, right? Lots of space in the center console. Now, I will say, as standard with the Laramie trucks, you know, the Laramie start at around $50,000 now for a 4x4 crew cab, which is what most people want. Standard, you're going to be getting like this bench seat setup. 6-seater truck is what you're going to be getting. This center console would have been a seat, but you can fold it down and you would have your center console that way. But to remove that center seat and get the center console the way it is here, the way most people would want it, it's going to cost you an extra $895, which kind of pisses me off. But it is what it is. And also, there's no option to get that beige interior anymore. Some people loved it, some people hated it. I loved it. I thought it was a pretty cool option, but you can't get that anymore for 2022. Another thing to note. It's only this black interior, but I do like this black interior. It looks good for the most part. But anyway, yeah, this center console, plenty of space, and I like how they think things through. Like, this is such a great modern truck to own because it's got things like the USB-C ports, aux cable, regular USB, and you have intelligent places to put your phone with the cord attached to it to use your Apple CarPlay and your Android Auto, right? It's just really well done. And you can kind of slide this thing around, move it about. 115 volt house port down here as well. Just gobs of space to put like a whole toolbox in there if you wanted to. It's just nuts with your coin holders. You can do the Pythagorean theorem in here as well. It's just nuts, all the stuff that they shoved in here. And the center armrest is very comfortable as well. I love the digital gear shifting knob. It's so easy to use, so effortless, so lazy. It's just my most favorite shifter in a truck. You know, I hate the stupid column shifters like that 2021 Silverado had. It's so chintzy and plasticky. I hate the way that thing works. Same thing with the Nissan Titan. Hate those column mounted shifters. But you have some useful features here like the automatic headlights, one touch up and down windows for the front two windows here, not for the rear windows. And like I mentioned, you only have like the two-way lumbar for the front seats here and for the passenger seats. Also electric seats for the passenger seat as well. We have here the 8.4-inch Uconnect. This is the updated Uconnect for 2022. The Uconnect 5, I think, is what they call it. It's like 4 times faster, has 3 times more memory, and it's as easy to use as ever. You know, quick to respond, no issues, loads up without an issue. Really one of the best. You can connect up to 2 Bluetooth devices, 2 phones essentially. And we have here the Alpine 9-speaker sound system, which is what you get with the Laramie Level 1. Now, if you got a Laramie Level 2, you could have gotten the 19-speaker Harman Kardon. I don't know how much of a difference that would make or if it's even worth paying up for that. But this 9-speaker Alpine system, it's got a ton of bass, I'll tell you that. I actually had to turn the bass all the way down if you're like listening to any type of rap music or anything like that. The bass is so nuts, but you know, you can turn that down. You have the clarity here, which is what I really appreciate. So it's not a bad audio system at all. It's a pretty decent one. I'm glad that they give this to you here, but again, you do have to get the Laramie Level 1, and you should get the Laramie Level 1. Laramie Level 2, not really worth it, because if you're going to spend that much money on a Laramie, you could have just gotten like a limited Ram for like 67 grand, something like that. You can get a pretty well spec'd out limited, and that's going to be a fully loaded truck versus this, which is just a Laramie at the end of the day. The limiteds, the Longhorns, they just look so much better. They look way more premium than the Laramies. But the Laramie is good if you're going to lease it, and I'll talk more about that a little bit later. But yeah, the way you see it here, this is nice. Again, this is $62,000. A 12-inch screen, you know, that's another thing that Ram is known for, that big-ass 12-inch screen. Not really worth paying $2 grand for it, in my opinion, because, well, all it's doing is it's taking the physical controls of this HVAC system and it's just implementing into the bottom portion of the screen. That's really all it's doing. So this 8.4 inch is the way to go. This does not have the navigation system in it, the way it's spec'd here, but nor is that important. But you do have heated seats, cooled seats, and a heated steering wheel the way it sits here. Also with the Laramie Level 1 trim, you will also be getting the safety features that I mentioned before, like the blind spot monitoring, the parking sense, and all those things. The backup camera in this is very decent, high quality, no problem. And it's got the sensors that will beep at you. I will say it's a little loud in here when the sensors do beep, even at its lowest setting, so there is that. You have 2 glove boxes, which is cool. One where the Laramie logo is, and also the traditional one underneath. Plenty of space, no problem. A sunroof or a panoramic roof, I forgot which one, is actually optional in here. That's an extra $1,500, I believe. You can get that if you want. Garage door home link, and you can open and close the rear window. The rear portion of it's like a little square if you want to transport some lumbar or something. You have a little space where you can kind of electronically open and close that little window in the back. And the gauge cluster looks amazing. It's super easy to use. Same with the Uconnect system, the infotainment. This is a really crispy, clear screen, high quality, easy to use, shows you some great information. Another option worth getting is the 33-gallon fuel tank. Definitely get that, and get the rear wheelhouse liners for like $190. Definitely worth getting as well. Get the bed utility package. It'll cover up that bed, gives you that spray and bed liner with the little LED lights in the back as well, which is helpful. And also the anti-slip differential, get that as well. It's the little options that really make a difference in this truck that most trucks on the lot probably won't come with, but if you have the option of speccing it out yourself, make sure to get those little options. You can also move the pedals down here electronically as well. Not sure how useful that is, but it's there. It's an extra level of adjustability if you so want it. Now let's go ahead and let's talk about the rear seats, because like in every truck, you got plenty of space back there. It's not even remotely an issue. You can kind of slide the seats around, recline them, move them around a little bit. You can put the seats up for more cargo capacity, and you also get a little storage box in the rear and the footwell with the Laramie Level 1 package, another thing to keep in mind. And you have your own HVAC vents back there with the USB-C, USB ports back there as well. Same leather quality with the suede inserts, the piping, all that stuff continues. A really high quality cabin space, really enjoy it. It's a great place to spend time for 4 to 5 adults, really a blast. Now let's go ahead and let's talk about the truck bed. We have a 5-foot 7-inch bed in the back. The rear tailgate is super light. I think it's made out of aluminum. It's really easy to open and close that thing, but you can also open it from the key fob as well electronically. That's a great thing. Another cool thing to note about the tailgate is it will actually electronically lock as well. But the way it works is it doesn't lock by you pressing the lock button on the key fob. It works by when you walk away from the truck, the tailgate will automatically lock. You won't hear it. It's not audible, and many people kind of complained about this. They didn't really understand how it worked initially, but that's how it works. It works in proximity to how far away the key fob is from the truck. So once you get closer to the vehicle with the key fob on you, the tailgate will automatically unlock for you, so it's convenient. But as you move away from it, it will automatically lock. So it's great if you have a tonneau cover in the back, but it's like every other truck bed. It's great, it's massive, not really an issue. Now, let's sum everything up here. Still my most favorite truck that you can get in its class, no questions asked. It's got the least amount of compromises, a great truck to lease. Now, I talked about this when I was driving the vehicle. It rides so well. In fact, you can actually make this thing ride even better if you got the 18-inch wheels, if you can stomach the way it looks on the Laramies. It'll kind of soak up these smaller bumps a little bit better still. So it's just a fantastic truck for so many reasons. The handling is good enough for me. The 5.7 liter is a gem. I mean, it sounds so good. I like the silky tone of the 5.7 liter Hemis. It's one of my more favorite sounding engines. The 5 liter Coyote also has a lot of character in it in the F-150s. And now for 2022, the Tundra is only available as a twin turbocharged V6. I'm sure it's going to be quick and powerful, but, it's just not the same. In a pickup truck, you kind of want this silky smooth V8 experience, and this offers it. I love the tone of it. And as I mentioned before, the Laramie, good truck to lease. Now, go on the Lease Hacker website and check out the lease companion page. Go on that forum. I'm not paid or sponsored by these people, but I think Lease Companion is the broker that offers around 12% off MSRP for these trucks. So if you want to lease it, or if you want to even finance it, enjoy the 12% off on any of the truck trim levels. Limited, doesn't matter. They'll give that to you. But yeah, the Laramie is best if you lease it, and if you're going to finance it or pay cash, I think a better use of your money would be to spec out like a $67,000 limited and just go from there. You will have to pay like a $500 broker fee when you go through Lease Hacker or Lease Companion, whatever. But, I think that's worth it to get 12% off when a lot of dealerships are actually asking for over MSRP, right? So not a bad deal to take advantage of. So that's one of the pragmatic ways that you can take advantage of a new Ram 1500, or if you are currently owning a truck and you want to maybe switch out of it because you can actually get a profit if you sell it right now. That's another reason maybe take advantage of either leasing a Laramie or buying it or whatever you want to do with it. That's just one of the affordable ways I found. But outside of that, great truck. Still one to go for, honestly. Reliability, who cares? I mean, if you're a wealthy business owner, you're just going to switch out of it in the next 6 months to a year anyway, right? These things have great resale value because it's a truck, so it's not really going to be an issue. Anyway, hopefully you found some value out of this very lengthy review. Thanks again for watching. Take care and goodbye.